So I have, in all this process of everything happening, I've only scantily paid attention to sports. It kind of seems like a half-hearted effort to pay attention to it because it just kind of it doesn't seem real. Like, oh, I'll watch the draft or I'll listen to what news. Oh, Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay, and just a couple of things. But it's been very half-hearted. It's kind of seen seems a little insignificant. And maybe I don't know if that's just temporary or if that's going to be something that is long term. But I've tried to do something to not think about, you know, what everybody's thinking about. But it does kind of seem superficial. But this last week I heard something that kind of interesting is it popped up in the NCAA was all of a sudden had a response to some of the plans, um, as it relates to the fall, and as the discussion, can we have classes in the fall? And and so then the next discussion, of course, becomes, because it's so important, can we play football in the fall? Well, yes, the NCAA wanted to absolutely guarantee us that even if classes are not in person, and if you have kids, you know how quality the education has been comparatively, um, in terms of what the expectations are from whether it be colleges or high schools. The level of academics has not been up to snuff, at least from my perspective. And so the NCAA is, even if we can't have in-person classes, we can have in-person football. Now, thousands of people meet on a campus for classes. However, in a small, well, maybe not small, but in a locker room and training facilities, you have hundreds of people when it comes to the number of football players on a college football team is over 100 plus all the training staff, and there's no difference. Essentially, there's no difference. Uh, and it kind of made me think, where the priorities are, but not just where the priorities are. That it seems that they've forgotten the original idea of what colleges are as they're making these. The FCC, similarly, the Federal Communications Commission or whatever. What their original, a lot of people don't know what their original mission statement was, which was to make sure that every home, it was established to make sure that every home had a telephone. Well, they've existed so long that every home got telephones, and now most homes don't have them again. That's how far we've come in society. But still, the FCC exists, and a lot of times what happens is groups of any type, of any structure or purpose, their own existence becomes their mission. It doesn't even if the mission is fulfilled, we're supposed to exist because we exist, and it's important for us to exist. Why? Well, you've achieved this. Well, yes, and so we just move on to a different thing. And the NCAA seems to have moved on from academics to its more, or colleges, I should say. NCAA is the athletic side of that. The NCAA believes that the athletic side is actually more important, and they're showing that. Than or the athletic side is more important than the academic. And but there's always been a transition in things like this. In fact, the original mission of universities, or the the earliest ones that were made was not just simply academics. It was actually to train preachers. Harvard and Princeton and Yale. These were not just, let's study to become doctors or what have you. A lot of the other academic pursuits of those universities, they were originally just colleges to train missionaries or preachers or whatever. And they moved on. And this is not just here in the United States, but the University of Bologna, of Paris, Cambridge, Oxford. These were all originally Christian institutions. And as things developed, they forgot their original purpose, and self-existence was just important. So, and so they've developed and migrated over the time, because just humanity forgets what our original intent is. And the church is like that too. Our purpose is not simply to exist. As we get this feeling of anticipation of coming back together, and the excitement grows to come and sit in a pew together where the service looks more or less normal, and everything. We want to make sure that we haven't forgotten our original intent. Our intent, God didn't create the church for self-existence, just to exist and to be. But we have an intent. We have a mission. It was called we refer to it as a great commission. Two purposes: to go and to teach, to make disciples. That is our intent. So when we come together, let us not come together for the purpose simply of celebrating our own existence and our ability to exist as we always have, with the 3 songs and a communion and a sermon and a closing invitation and handshakes out the door, or 6 feet distance out the door, whatever it's going to look like. Let us remember that we exist for the purpose of multiplying the church, of growing the church. That is the great intent, and all these other things are surrounding that main goal. Fellowship assists in that, and the communion is a part of that proclamation, and worship of all types, and the giving of all types. Those things are all part of our mission, but we are to make disciples, and that means teaching people, and that means instructing them after they've become a follower of Christ. That is our purpose, and all these other things are just there to augment that goal. So hope you just kind of learned that from a lesson from the FCC and the NCAA, one that you might not have thought you would have learned.